Have you ever wondered why success stories resonate so deeply with us? There is something profoundly heroic about that journey, something that commands our attention and earns our respect. And I know this because I lived this. And I want to tell you the story about that little boy from the village that made it work. I grew up in a village with no roads and no internet. Today I run multi-million-dollar company, and if you would tell me 20 years ago, I would never ever believe.
This video is not just about my story, it's about two things you are going to get from it. First, the exact decision that turned my life around, the one moment everything changed, and why most people never make that same decision, even when they have way more than I ever had. Second, the actual system I built after decision, the same one I use today to run a company that's worked with over 1,100 businesses.
I'm not telling you this to impress you or make you feel how good I am. I'm telling you this because if I could do this, you can do way more than you can imagine.
So let's start where the story actually begins, back in the village that most people never heard of, in the mud, long before any of this happened.
People were asking me why you are wet every time when I was coming from outside and it was raining. I was telling them that I love the rain, but it was not true because I had no other choice.
I was born in a village in Azerbaijan that most people will never find on the map. Not even a lot of people from my own country know that it exists. There are no proper roads there. Nothing paved, nothing fixed up. Most families didn't have cars, including mine. My dad only bought one years later when things got a little easier. So if you needed to go somewhere, you walked, and that was the only choice you had.
Every single day, my sister and we were walking 2.5 hours to get to the school. And sometimes it was raining non-stop and very heavily. And one of us was wet because we had only one umbrella to share.
When it rained hard, and in Azerbaijan it rains hard a lot, the road turned into the thick mud that pulled you down to your knees with every step. No car could get through that mud, even if you had one, so you just walked straight through it, completely wet by the time you got there, and sat in class like for the whole day, cold the entire time.
I got really good in hiding it because when people asked me a question why I'm wet, I didn't tell them the reality because it could create more questions.
But some days there was no rain to blame it on, and I still would show up looking rough, just tired from the walk itself. My clothes would be messy, shoes falling apart. Nobody in my class actually knew what it took just to get through that door every morning. To them, I was just the kid who was always a little late, a little wet, a little quiet, and I let them believe whatever story was easiest.
There was one part of the hill when you needed to go up, it was really hard. And sometimes I needed to pull my legs because it was going until the knees. And it was really hard because you would make 2-3 steps and then it was getting even harder and harder to continue that road.
I didn't have second pair of the shoes, so whatever happened to those shoes on the walk, I had to live with it for the rest of the day, no matter how bad it got. Some mornings I got to class with one shoe barely holding together, laces broken, mud stuck in every seam, and I just sat there through every single lesson because there was nothing else I could do about it.
The electricity in our village got only for 2 hours. That was the only time when I could study, and we were celebrating that. Can you imagine, just light? You are celebrating that you can study for the school for the next day.
The rest of the time I read by candlelight or with a flashlight, and I know that sounds hard to believe. If you grew up somewhere, the lights just work whenever you flip a switch. My sister and I used to fight over who got the flashlight first, because once the batteries got weak, that was it for night. Homework just had to wait until the morning.
Winters were hard too. My father was covering the windows with plastic so that the cold is not coming inside. At least it was protecting a little bit and we were not feeling cold so much.
I remember watching him to every single year without fail, carefully cutting the plastic to size, sealing every edge with whatever he could find that year. It wasn't a real fix, it was just survival, and he did it without ever complaining, which is something I honestly didn't understand or appreciate until I was much older and had my own problems to solve.
And food was not something that we could count on, because every time the meat was on the table, we were celebrating that day. We were feeling so happy that because it was happening maybe once in a month or once in 2 months.
I sat through classes hungry more times than I could ever count, watching other kids buy snacks between lessons while I just sat there because my parents never had extra money to give me, not even for that.
I was watching those kids who were eating and who could afford to go to breaks and buy something, and I was not jealous. Like, I was watching them and something inside of me was building up. I was making a decision.
Something in me was already saying, this is not going to be my whole life. This can't be it. I didn't have a plan yet. I was maybe 12, 13 years old with no idea how to get out. But I remember that feeling clearly, sitting there hungry, telling myself this was a temporary, even though I had zero proof of that at that time.
My mother, she was doing everything she can so that we can come further. And I never heard about complaining about me, about my sister, or something that was bothering her.
Looking back, I think that's actually where I learned to keep going no matter what. Not from a book, not from some mentors later in life, but from watching a woman figure out how to feed two kids on almost nothing and still send us to school looking okay every single day. That's a kind of system too. I just didn't have a word for it yet.
And this was my childhood, and I'm not telling you that how tough it was. I'm just telling you this was part of my reality.
Looking back now from where I am today, I honestly can't believe where I ended up starting from that.
If you went to university and you never needed to worry about the money, you are ahead of 90% of the people in the world. And of course, I was not part of that 10%. I had financial struggles.
Somehow I got in. My family had to sell sheep and cows just to pay for my move to Baku. That's how tight things were for us at that point. My parents didn't say much about it at that time. They just quietly did it, and I knew exactly what that sacrifice meant, even if nobody said it out loud.
I moved to the city thinking that it will get easier, but it was exactly the opposite. It got harder, but just in a different way.
Baku wasn't the village, but it came with its own kind of pressure I wasn't ready for at all. Everyone around me seemed to have money I didn't have, phones I didn't have, a level of comfort I couldn't even relate to. I remember feeling completely out of the place in my own country, surrounded by people my own age.
My weight dropped to 56 kilos because I was not eating well, and sometimes I had blackouts as well.
I would stand up too fast in the class and the whole room would just go white for a second, and I would have to grab desk just to stay on my feet before everyone noticed. Nobody around me knew that was happening. I never told a single classmate. I just kept showing up every day like nothing was wrong. My mom sent whatever she could each month, and we made it work, one payment at a time.
So I got a job at KFC. It was full schedule, like weekdays, weekends, on top of the full-time studying.
Sleep basically stopped happening for me during that whole time. I would study late at night, work in the mornings, sit in the lectures barely awake, and then do the exact same thing again next day. I remember falling asleep standing up once behind the counter just for a second, and my manager had to shake me awake.
But underneath all these challenges, all these hardships that I had, I was very happy. I was genuinely happy because I knew I am building something for my future. I'm building something big.
It wasn't much a minimum wage job and a stack of textbook I could barely keep up with. But it was mine. Nobody handed it to me. Nobody was covering for me if I failed. I was carrying all of it myself, and there is a specific kind of pride that comes from that, even when you are tired and underweight and constantly behind.
One of my professors, he gave me an idea, the idea that completely shifted my life. It was about delayed gratification.
He explained it simply one afternoon after class, almost as a side comment. Whatever money you earn right now, you don't spend on comfort. You put it into your future self instead. I remember sitting there thinking about every hungry day back in the village, and something just clicked, like I finally had words for a feeling I've been carrying since I was a kid.
So I asked my mom for a loan, not for buying a car or phone. I asked it for learning English language.
That felt like a strange thing to spend money on when we barely had enough for food some weeks, but I knew it was the one skill that could actually change my whole future. I remember her going quiet on the phone for a second before she said yes, and I think about what that yes actually cost her.
I started speaking that language. I automatically saw that many doors started to open to me that before I was not even seeing them.
Jobs, conversations, chances that were simply closed off to me before, all because I could suddenly talk to a completely different part of the world I would never had access to. It didn't happen overnight, but I could feel the difference within just few months. People took me more seriously, and for the first time I could actually start believing I might get out of the life I grew up in.
That's how I finished my university. It was the first time when I felt I can do something. If I want, if I have a goal, I can achieve something.
And it definitely, absolutely was not going to be the last time I would need to do that.
After university, I went to the army. This was one of the hardest parts of my life, physically and also mentally.
I'm not going to walk you through every detail of that time. Some of it just isn't right to turn into content for a video, but I will tell you this much: it makes something out of you, some kind of fear that most people carry around their whole lives without even noticing it's there.
Training alone broke a lot of guys who were looking way bigger and stronger than me. I saw those guys quitting in a couple of weeks, some of them going to hospitals because they couldn't manage it, all these physical and mental efforts.
It wasn't really about strength in the end, it was about whether you could keep showing up when your body and your mind were both telling you to stop. I would already spent years walking through mud to get to school and going hungry through university, so in a strange way I would already been training for this without even realizing it.
When I came back from army, I noticed one thing, that I became fearless. That one thing was completely deleted and I was feeling dangerously strong, that I can do everything I want, I know that everything is possible. The things that normal people would think impossible to do.
Everyday risk, the kind that stops most people from ever trying anything new, just didn't feel the same to me anymore after that. Losing a job, moving to a new country with no plan at all, none of that felt scary compared to what I would already been through.
That's when I made that decision, and most people would think it's completely irrational decision back then, and telling me that I shouldn't go that way.
I left with almost nothing to go build a life for myself somewhere else, and I genuinely didn't lose a single night of sleep over that decision.
You probably heard those kind of crazy stories where the guy with just $100 going to another country without any other resources. That was unfortunately my reality, even though it sounds very fancy now.
I flew to Turkey with $100 total to my name. Half of that went straight to the plane ticket, so I landed with my $50 in my pocket and no plan at all. I didn't speak the local language well, I barely spoke English at that point either, and I had no contacts, nobody waiting for me anywhere.
I found a cheap hostel and I stayed there for 5-6 days. I was not doing anything else, I was just building relationships and talking to other people.
Looking back now, that 1 week taught me more about sales than any course I have paid for since. I wasn't selling anyone anything at all, I was just being curious, asking questions, actually listening to people's stories. I didn't know it yet, but I was building trust one conversation at a time, and trust is the whole business I run today, years later.
Through someone I found company that was looking for Russian speakers, and back then I was not speaking English properly, and they told me you need to come back in 3 months because it was February, it was out of the season, and season starts in May. But I had no choice.
I remember standing there doing the math in my head right away, $50, 3 months to somehow wait, that math just didn't work. I told them straight up, I couldn't wait that long. I had no money to survive until then. That was a real risk, telling a stranger I had nothing left, but I said it anyway because I truly had no other option.
So they did something I didn't even expect. They gave me a place to stay, and also they prepaid me 3 months salary, and that moment was for me, okay, probably I have a potential to do something that people believe in me.
Before I had worked a single day for them, not one shift, I still think about that decision they made, taking a chance on a broke kid who barely spoke the language, and I try to give people that same kind of trust now whenever I can, because someone did it for me the first when they had every reason not to do.
So I had a place to stay, money to spend, but I had 3 months also completely free. I didn't know what to do.
I spent that time learning the local language properly instead of wasting it, watching how the older staff talk to customers, picking up small details about how the whole business actually worked day to day. By the time the season actually started, I already understood the place better than most people who had worked there for months.
When the season started, I made sure that I was working harder than anyone. I was coming first, and I was going latest. I remember my boss was coming to me and he never ever asked me why you are coming late. He was always asking me, why are you going late?
I took every shift nobody else wanted, every single one. I stayed later than everyone. I showed up earlier than everyone, and slowly the numbers started to show it. My manager noticed before I even did. He was the one who first told me I had a real gift for this kind of work.
By the end of that year, I had $10,000 to spend, and it was enough to put that money to my bank account and move to Germany.
Enough to feel for the very first time in my life like I had something solid under my feet. I remember counting that money out slowly and just thinking about the kid who used to walk through the mud with broken shoes and sitting there for a minute, letting that sink in.
You move to a country like Europe and you are thinking your life completely will change because this is a completely another world for you waiting with full of opportunities.
Germany was not the relief I expected at all, not even close. My first year there, I almost got kicked out of university because my school background just was not strong enough for what they expected. The math especially destroyed me. I was failing tests I would never even seen the format of before in a language I was still learning.
So I went back to what I already knew, so struggling and trying to survive. And I was fixing my grades on one side, and on another side I tried to work and earn money so I can live.
It felt like non-stop climbing with no big breakthrough moment anywhere in sight, just one hard week stacked directly on top of the next one, over and over. Money was still a daily problem, just a different currency this time. I remember thinking that I would left one struggle just to find the brand new version of the same exact thing.
Eventually I got hired by Amazon, and I even started training people at Amazon to sales how to sell better. And that job alone showed me how to follow the structure and actually how to build the systems that produce results with less effort.
For the first time in my life, I was inside a company that actually had real processes, written down steps for everything. Going from a village with no roads to sitting in a room teaching sales training felt almost strange to me, but it planted something important, the idea that big results come from systems, not from luck and not from the talent alone.
There on, I built my own startup, and it was very successful. Back then it was 2020, 2021.
That should have felt like the finish line for me, but it just felt like the starting gun going off for the next thing. I remember the sale actually going through and thinking, okay, now what? Because I truly didn't have a next plan yet. I just knew I couldn't stop moving.
Fully moved to my agency, which is now Chrysalis. And I was thinking I go all in to one thing and focusing only on one thing. It didn't work right away, of course. It took me a very long time to make it successful and start working.
Before my agency actually worked, I failed at 7 different businesses first, one after another. E-commerce, a tech startup, drop shipping, even a physical product line selling insoles. Every single one of them taught me something, but one of them was the right thing.
I tried everything I could until finally I found one thing that was working.
Looking back at each of those failures now, none of them feel like wasted time anymore. They feel like tuition I paid. I paid to learn what doesn't work, and eventually that same lesson is what let me spot what actually did.
Stop trying to do everything at once. Just pick up one thing, focus on that, and build a system so that you can become so efficient that you don't have to think, but the results will be produced meanwhile.
That single sentence is the whole reason my life changed direction. I paid the last money I had, literally the very last of it, for a course from a mentor who taught me one idea. I was that close to shutting everything down and going back to a normal job, days away from actually doing it.
I remember that one moment where I needed to put all the eggs to one basket, and truly I didn't have any other choice, just one thing that I needed to make successful.
I sat down, I did the math in my head at that time. If this doesn't work, I go to get a normal job and still fine either way, so there was no real risk left in trying one more time. That mindset alone completely changed how I went into the course. I wasn't scared going in, I was just paying close attention to everything.
That one thing didn't only fix my sales issue, it's changed completely my way of thinking and looking at things.
Relationships, health, business, all of it could be built as a system instead of being left to chance and mood and short bursts of motivation, which was exactly what had been failing for me for years. I realized I've been relying on willpower my whole life, and willpower always runs out. Systems simply don't.
After that, I stopped guessing. I started building everything step by step, piece by piece.
Sales became a system, client relationships became a system, even my whole day, how I woke up, how I planned it, how I followed up with the people, all of it became a system because I finally understood that showing up every day beats motivation every single time.
I started writing everything step by step, every single process, so that I can remove everything from my head and have it into one system.
That's the real difference between owning a business and owning a job that just happens to have your name on it. When everything only works because you personally remember to do it, you actually have a bottleneck, not a system. And I was that exact bottleneck in my own company for way too long before I finally fixed it.
Look at anything that works well, that is successful. You will always find a system underneath it that makes that successful, always.
Spartan warriors were not strong because 300 men were somehow tougher than 40,000 men. They won because of a system, training, discipline, repeated every single day without exception for years until it became who they were instead of just something they did sometimes.
A system that built that way never gets broken. Doesn't matter what you do with that. It's so solid that it will never ever break.
That's the whole idea behind Systemized Growth. The book I wrote, every chapter comes back to the same idea in a different way. Sales, hiring, growing a company, a lot of it built on the same foundation. It's not actually about motivation, it's about the systems.
Today I run my agency Chrysalis, and we helped so far over 1,100 people. And I personally closed over 8 figures in sales.
I've spoken on the TEDx stage across every client we worked with together. We have helped move well over $50 million in sales, and that number keeps growing every single month as we take on new clients.
Here's the part that feels strange to me, even after that all time that happened to me.
People I grew up with in that exact same village watch my videos now and ask if I'm even that same person. Some of them think I sound American. They genuinely ask if I moved there. It's a strange feeling like a stranger to the exact place that made you who you are today.
That kid who walked through the mud is now closing multi-million-dollar deals. The kid that walked through the mountain roads, hills, is now running the agency and helping hundreds of people.
Different mud, same kid, underneath it, still walking through something every single day just to get where I'm going. The setting changed completely. The struggle just changed the shape along with me.
Here's why I'm telling you all of this. There is no goal to tell you I am good, I am perfect. The goal is to show you that everything is possible.
I'm just tired of vague motivational advice that doesn't actually give you anything to use. If a kid from village with no roads, no electricity and no money could build a multi-million-dollar company, what exactly is stopping you right now?
You already have internet, you already have YouTube and unlimited source of information that I didn't have until I was 20 years old.
You have information. I had to learn that hard way, one failure at a time across 7 different businesses before something finally worked. You could skip most of that pain if you just used what actually matters instead of guessing your way through it like I did for years.
The difference between where I was and where I am today comes down to only one decision.
I stopped doing everything randomly and I started building systems instead. That's the whole shift, and it's available for you starting today. No course needed to begin it.
If you want to see how we run that system that enables companies to generate 7-8 figures in revenue, about sales, scaling, hiring, all that is packed into one thing, which you can see the link below.
Every year, this gets harder. There is more noise, more content, more AI generated everything filling up every platform, and it's genuinely getting hard to stand out inside all of it. But real stories told by people who actually lived through them will always find an audience, because people can feel the difference between something real and something performed.
I walked through the mud to get there, but you don't have to. And you have way more chances, because today you can make a decision and change your life completely.